Yo, this is Christian, and today I want to show you the system that I have created for anyone to learn code, okay? The way I came up with the system is by looking at all the software jobs that I had in the past 4 or 5 years, and I've noticed a few patterns, and I've been reading books about how to teach people things or how people learn, and I've been exploring that, and then I came up with this simple to use system that you can take and try to implement on your own if you can. There are 5 things that you have to know, and I'm gonna start explaining everything, okay? Before we get into that, like this video and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, okay? This is gonna be a boring video, okay? So if you don't have the patience to watch through the whole thing, then what are you doing, you know? This is very important because you can take these ideas and implement them to your coding life right now, okay? So we're gonna start with the most important thing, the task, okay? I don't know if you can see this. T-A-S-K, okay, task. Why do we need to start with a task? Well, what's very important is that we know what we have to do, okay? This is how it works in software and in construction, in anything, right? We need to know what we want to achieve, and then we can figure out, we can reverse engineer the process, and we can come up with a solution to solve that task. But first, we need a task, okay? When I was making music, I knew that I wanted to make house music, so I learned that I have to use the 4x4 beat, then I had to add a snare every other beat, I had to add all my hi-hats in between beats, and so on and so forth. So I knew what I wanted to get, and I was able to reverse engineer that to a certain extent, but at least in the beginning, to get that sound, that beat running, okay? And it's the same thing with software, right? The problem with software is that noobs, beginners, and I was there as well, okay? So I'm not calling you a noob necessarily, but if you're watching this video, you're probably a noob. It's not a bad thing, but this thing applies to people that are a bit more advanced, that are doing some React right now or some JavaScript. This thing applies still to you as well, okay? This is gonna apply to you in the job as well, okay? You start with a task, okay? You need to get a predefined task. The interesting thing is that most people don't know what task it is. That's why they ask, okay, what projects to build, what applications should I build for my portfolio, etc., etc., okay? The reason why that's happening is because you as a junior developer, you shouldn't come up with the task. You should be given the task, okay? But then, let's say someone is giving you the task and you know exactly what task to do. If you know the what, then you can find the how, okay? There are so many tutorials out there and they are all giving you the how. But what you're interested in is the what, okay? Because if you know that you have to build a to-do list, then you can figure out the steps to build a to-do list to a certain extent, depending on your experience. If you are working with React, you know that right now you have to implement Redux because your application grew so much, okay? And then you learn about Redux. If you're learning Redux just because someone told you you have to learn Redux and you don't understand why you have to learn it, then you're not gonna be able to get it, okay? And that's gonna be a massive red flag in interviews, just saying, okay? So first we have to start with the task, always. That's our what, okay? That's our North Star, okay? The task, first step, okay? Second thing, research. I'm not sure if you can see here, it says research, okay? So you got your task, the what, and now the research part starts. That's the part where you have to find out how to complete your task, okay? Like in a to-do list. But you have to figure out, okay, what array methods am I gonna use here? Do I need an array? Do I need an object? How do I do this drop-down look like this? How do I make this route perform this operation? How do I set up a Redux store? How do I use data from multiple reducers inside my application? How do I do that? Why is that important? Okay, you start thinking about things like that. You start to do your research, and that's gonna take some time, okay? Probably the research part is gonna be 80% of the time that you should be allocating for your actual coding process, okay? Coding is not only about writing code. If you're coming from a job where time put in equals money, Coding, it's a bit different, okay? Coding is more like what kind of, like your output is disproportional to your allocated time, okay? So I could spend 1 hour and I could create like a feature that will have an enormous business value, okay? So your skill has a very high leverage, and that's why you can make $100, $120, $150,000 per year, okay? Because your skill has a great leverage, okay? So most of the time I was coding maybe 2 hours per day, okay? But when I was going shopping, when I was on the toilet, when I was at McDonald's, when I was at the gym, I was thinking, okay? That thinking doesn't necessarily have to happen in front of a computer. Sometimes you get into this zone where you just want to code, but that's gonna happen after you solve the problem in your head in the first place, okay? So research, the next important step. Have your task, research, and let's go to the next one. 3, solution, okay? You got your task, you find out the what, you did your research, you found out exactly what you have to do, how to do it, and now you have to come up with a solution. You have to put your ideas, your thoughts into code so a machine can understand it, okay? The better you get at finding solutions for more difficult problems, the more money you're gonna make, okay? That's how we are getting paid, based on the solutions, based on the problems that we are solving, okay? Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to go and rant too much about that, but you have to come up with a solution. Pretty simple, okay? Now, the next step, it's even more important. Step number 4, review, okay? This review has to happen by a third party. It can be anyone. I usually do it for my students, but you should find a developer that's way better than you. Ideally, a developer that's where you want to be, okay? So if you are learning front-end development, don't go to a Java developer or a senior Java developer to review your code, or don't go to a senior Python developer to review your code. Go to someone, a senior front-end developer, to review your code, because he's gonna review it in the context of the job, okay? So the review is very important. As you saw in my last video, I posted a code review session where I basically explained the fact that you could come up with a solution, okay? You come up with a solution and the code works, okay? No big deal there. But we want to make sure in the review part that you actually do it in a way where other people can understand it, where your code is clear, okay? Because maybe it happened to you, maybe you've been doing this for a year. If you look back at your previous code, you'll be like, who did this? You know, this is absolute trash. We want to avoid that. Obviously that's gonna happen, but if you have a review, and I didn't come up with this, that's what I did at work. Again, this is inspired from work, okay, from a real job. If we have a review, then if you have like multiple developers that are checking your code, then we can make sure that we are consistent all the time, and the way we are writing your code is gonna be maintainable and scalable with time. Very important words, okay? Maintainable and scalable. We also wanna make sure that we have a style that we adhere to, okay? If you are like me, when I was in my first job, I did not have reviews, okay? I did not have reviews, I did not have this stuff. I was watching different people coding different things online, right? And then I had a weird combination of styles that was changing every time I was changing my coding hero, okay? So that's why it's important to kind of streamline these reviews and make sure that the way you do it actually makes sense. And here with the review, you can remove bad practices, okay? And reinforce good practices over and over and over and over again. And we also want to make sure that we understood the concepts correctly, okay? Because if you are learning some concept like component update, you might know about it, but you never actually used it because you don't understand it properly. So with a code review, you can see an alternative of your current code where you might be using component update. So now that concept is gonna click. I know for me it was very difficult to understand component update or reduce, but everyone hates reduce in my program because I make them work with it. It's very important to work with it. And pretty much every week we talk about reduce in one way or another. But It's important to have this third party perspective in your code. And you have to trust me, okay? This is not something like you should doubt me. You know, when I'm telling you, hey, think about it if I'm right or wrong. No, don't think about it. I'm right. This time I'm right. This is what's happening at work, okay? I was getting paid at work to review other people's code and other people were paid to review mine, okay? So you have to trust me with this. Now, the last one. Now, the fifth component of this whole cycle is understanding. Can you see this? Understanding. I think this is extremely blurry. I don't know how to use this lens, but here it says understanding. You have to trust me, okay? So once you had a task, okay? You did your research, you find out how to do it, okay? You got a review, and now you understand concepts better, and now you become more confident, you become more skilled, okay? And then you can take all that knowledge, and then you get a new task. You get assigned a new task. And you go through this process over and over and over and over again. This is how learning to code works. Probably that's how learning works in general. But this is the process that I have been using, and that's why it works so well. Okay, it's very simple. Simple stuff always works. Complex never works. I've learned this thing recently. Keep it simple, stupid, right? That's a saying in programming. Like dry, don't repeat yourself. With a code review, we can make sure that you are keeping your code simple, and then we are making sure that your code is gonna be dry, okay? You don't even know if you do it or not. Most people are trying to keep their code dry by not writing code, and that's why they never start writing any code, which is fucking crazy. Anyway, but with the review, we can make sure that your variables are written properly, that you keep your code dry, you keep it simple. All those things are important, and all those things will give you that 6 figures remote developer job, okay? And it's like, it's simple to understand, okay? I hope it's simple to understand, but that's what I do for my students, and this is what you can do for yourself. I hope it makes sense, and I hope you can take some of these ideas and apply them to your own specific situation, okay? If you want me to help you to apply this formula, this magic trick to you, which is not magic, but it's real world, what you have to do is you have to apply for a free consultation call either with me or someone from my team, and we'll show you how we can apply this formula specifically for you so you can become a remote developer, so you can make 60, 70, 80 grand a year as a junior, and then later 100, 120, $150,000 a year. Okay, you'll have time freedom, you'll be able to invest in yourself, you'll be able to pay back people that have been helping you and supporting you throughout this journey. You'll be able to do that with having a high paying skill, okay? It's not such a big deal. It's simple, it works, just takes time, practice, and reviews. Until next time, Christian.